My name is Daniel, and I'm an account executive with the Google Apps team. And we'd like to thank you for joining our webinar today on Google Apps Vault. Let's begin and look at our agenda for today. Our agenda is pretty simple, and it's going to be very straightforward. We're going to be looking at the question of what is Google Apps Vault? You've already been using Google Apps for email and communication. What is Vault? How is it going to help my company? And we're going to do this through the lens of some pretty common business scenarios. Next, we're going to go into a demo. All right, so I want you to imagine three types of employees. There's one type of employee at your company. Do you have somebody that handles sensitive information? It may be financial data. It may be company patented technology. How do you become sure that this person is not sending out sensitive company information? And I want you to imagine another employee. Maybe they don't have access to company sensitive data, but you suspect they might be sending out inappropriate messages to either other employees or some of your customers. Or imagine this third employee. Has your business ever let somebody go? What happens when this specific employee maliciously deletes emails before they're let go at your company? How do you recover them? These are all use cases that Google Apps Vault comes into play and can really benefit your business. Specifically, what is Google Apps Vault? Well, Google Apps Vault is an archiving tool. It archives every inbound and outbound email and on-the-record chat from your company's domain, and it does this seamlessly on the back end. With Vault, you choose how long you want to retain emails for and on-the-record chats. You can retain them for 5 weeks, 5 years, or virtually indefinitely if you need to. Now, I want you to imagine this other scenario. We'll shift the paradigm a little bit. From talking to a lot of businesses today, some of the feedback that I get is that there's a lot of lawsuits going around. That person that you suspect of sending out inappropriate emails, maybe the case of a sexual harassment lawsuit. That person that deleted some company sensitive data, you might need that to defend your company in the case of a lawsuit. Even in the event that you let this person go, they might come back a few months later and sue your company for wrongful termination. So how do you protect and defend your company in these sort of instances? Google Apps Vault also has an e-discovery tool, which essentially will allow you to pull up those important emails you would need to defend your company in such a case. And I asked you, if you did encounter one of these scenarios where your organization did face some sort of suit, how much would it cost to hire a lawyer to first collect all this information, going inbox by inbox, and then 2, review and survey this information? According to a study done by Gartner, the average cost of defending a lawsuit today exceeds $1.5 million, with 20 to 30% of that being internal and mostly IT-related costs. So Google Apps Vault was created, 1, as a financial mitigation risk tool, 2, as a legal mitigation risk tool, and 3, to give you a better sense of what's going on in your company and providing you with those compliance tools that you may need. What really makes Google Apps Vault different than a lot of traditional archiving systems? Think about it in this context. You're typically backing up things on tapes, on physical disks. But as we all know, those physical devices can always get lost. They can always malfunction. Or even worse, they can end up in the wrong hands. So with Vault, all of this is done seamlessly throughout the back end. There's no data duplication. It's built on top of Google Apps, and you can deploy it in seconds. So now that we've kind of given you a brief overview of what Google Apps Vault does and talked about some of the common scenarios where you could utilize it for your company, let's actually go to a demo and show you what it looks like. So for the purpose of the demo, I'm going to be a company called Organic City. If you're interested in Google Apps Vault, want to try it out, you can easily do this by clicking on the notification tab in your admin console. If you don't see it in one of these first options here, you can click View All Notifications, and there should be an option to add Google Apps Vault, and you can actually try it for yourself. Since this domain we're working with already has Vault, I simply click on More, go into Vault, and it pops up for me. So, two major sections of Google Apps Vault. There's your retention, and then your matters. Okay? So, the first part I'm going to show you is retention. It's very simple to use and very straightforward. Retention is where you set how long you want emails at your company to be retained. For our demo company, we are retaining emails for 1,000 years. You as an organization may not need to retain emails for 1,000 years, but this is just showing you how powerful that tool is. Furthermore, you can set exceptions to the rule. If you have labels in your Gmail account and you wanted certain labels to retain for a longer period, you could set that as an exception. If you had a user at your company, in this case, we have Aaron at Organic City, and you wanted their emails to be retained for a different retention period, you could do that as well. And adding a rule or exception is as simple as clicking Rule. I can enter in a specific terms, emails from a certain date range, emails to a certain user, or from a certain user. So let's say I want to type in Brian, who's a member at Organic City. I'll type in Brian's name here. I want Brian's emails to be retained, and I'll enter another huge number here just to show you how powerful the tool is. Click Save. It gives me a notification about the retention rules. I'll click OK. And that modification to our default retention rule is now made. Very seamless and straightforward. Okay. The second part of Vault is Matters. And think about Matters as a way of organizing your information and your search queries into your domain. To create a matter, it's very simple. You click Create, enter a name and a description, and click Create New Matter. I'm going to use a pre-existing one we have called Sensitive Information. So I'll click on this matter, and what that now allows me to do is search my domain. And I can search my domain for any specific terms, any specific user accounts between a date range, emails sent to a certain person, or from a certain person. So let's say I wanted to do a search with the term sensitive information. I could do it just by one user's account, but to show you the power of Vault, let's do it for the whole domain. I'll click Search. One benefit, once again, of using Vault, as opposed to having to go inbox by inbox to find those important messages, this uses Google search technology. So as I'm sure you're pretty familiar with, those emails will be pretty easy to find and also come to you very quickly. So we performed our query. As you can see, I had the messages that had been sent with a specific term, the owner of the message. If that message had an attachment, you can find that here, and the date that message was sent. So let's open up this email from Trevor. And as you can see, I have access to the whole email, who was sent to, and the full contents. If there's an attachment, well, I also have access to that attachment where I can download it, or I can simply click View. So I'll view it and open it up in my browser. And it looks like we have a data sheet here on Google Apps Vault. So let's say you are a member of your company, you do a search because you suspect a certain user is sending out information that they should not. What you can then do is save your query. If you look on the left-hand column, I have a few queries that I have saved in the past. If you're satisfied with these results that you have, you can even export the results. And all your exports can be found here. Or maybe the case that you are performing this query, you want to get somebody's additional insight on it, you can give other people admin access to Vault and share that with them as well, just by adding their names here. And just to give your organization even more transparency, we've included an audit in Google Apps Vault. So essentially, you can have a record of every search action, export, preservation action, or audit action that's been taken in Vault, and download it into a CSV file. This tab you see here at the top called Preserve. You'd use this if your organization or specific users were being investigated. What this does is it puts your emails on litigation hold, which in litigation hold, those emails will be retained indefinitely. Now come back to Vault and show you the main page again. And once again, you do see this tab here that says Reports, but Reports once again has your audits and your legal holds, which we just discussed. So once again, thinking about this in the context, Google Apps Vault on top of your current Google Apps account is just an additional $5 per user per month. When you break it down into simple terms, sometimes people tell me it's just 2 cups of Starbucks coffee for their users. And the amount of information that they now have visibility into, and also how much they potentially save from a legal and compliance perspective, is very significant to them. Thus, they continue to use Vault and help their company